What's going on, Godzilla fans? LP2000 right back at you with another video again. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm not going to do a video with a figure review or a review of a movie and give you my opinions on the pros and cons like I've been doing. I'm the only one in my family that loves Godzilla the way that I do, by collecting the movies, the figures, the whole 9 yards. And sometimes my family, my wife or my kids may ask me certain questions about the genre, why I like it so much, why does certain things happen, what's this monster, what's that monster, whatever. So I decided to compile all the questions that they asked me and just answer them and put in on a video and just give you my opinions on what they asked me. And I'm sure there might be some people out there that can resonate what I will say and stuff like that. So I hope that y'all will enjoy this. So basically this is going to be called Godzilla Q&A. That's basically what it is. And I've compiled 15 questions and I will ask and answer them all at the same time. So just bear with me on this. The first question is, what is your favorite or least favorite Godzilla flick? And that's easy. The first, my favorite Godzilla flick of all time is Mothra vs. Godzilla from 1964. I mean, if you know me, you know that's my favorite movie of all time in the franchise. My least favorite would be Godzilla 1998. And there's really no explanation for something like that. We all know how that movie was not the best in the world. So that's it. My favorite, Mothra vs. Godzilla. My least favorite, Godzilla 98. Second question, how did you get involved with Godzilla in the first place? It's a really interesting story. When I was growing up, I'm from a small town in North Carolina. So there was not much access to Godzilla where I'm from. The only access I had to Godzilla was on the TBS Superstation, which was known for WCW and Godzilla films. However, one night I was sleeping like a baby, and my brother and my mom woke me up and told me, hey, there's a Godzilla film on. And at that time I didn't know what Godzilla was. I didn't know who he was or anything like that. So they woke me up out of my sleep, and Godzilla vs. Megalon was playing on TV. And after I watched that, I just became instantly hooked, and it just grew from there. Then I started watching the movies that was available on the Superstation, like Son of Godzilla, the original Godzilla, the Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero, and from there it just grew. My passion just grew from there. And then learning more about more monsters than what I was seeing, and learning about there's a Japanese version and an American version of the movies. I was just hooked instantly. So that's how I got involved. I thank my brother and my mom for doing that. So, which has led to what I've accomplished today when it comes to these figures and stuff like that. But that's how I got into Godzilla, and I've not looked back since. Okay. The third question, name your top 10 kaiju movies. Okay. I'm going to go from 10 to 1. So, here we go. Number 10, GMK, Godzilla Mothra King Ghidorah, Giant Monster All-Out Attack. Number 9, Gamera vs. Baragon. Number 8, Godzilla vs. Biollante. Number 7, Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Number 6, King Kong Escapes. Number 5, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, 1974. Number 4, War of the Gargantuas. Number 3, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Number 2, Godzilla vs. Gigan. And actually, there's a tie for first place. I'm gonna make a little addition. My tie for first place is, of course, Mothra vs. Godzilla, but now Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah. I just love that movie, and I just love the incarnation of Godzilla in that movie. And for that, it shares the top spot with Mothra vs. Godzilla for me. Of course, there are different films from different eras, but I love them both equally the same. So basically, Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah is on the same par with Mothra vs. Godzilla being my favorite Godzilla film. So that's it for that. Number 4. Name a monster that you feel deserves more movies. Okay. The first one that comes to my mind, and Everett Gronin out in Arizona. What's up, man? You already know. Well, I know that you're going to love my first answer. I think Titanosaurus should have got more movies. To me, he was the breakout star in Terror of Mechagodzilla. I think he deserved at least one more shot, at least one more movie. Or he should have got revamped into Heisei movies or the Millennium movies. But I think Titanosaurus should have gotten a lot more film appearances. Him, Guyver, the Green Gargantua, or actually both the Gargantuas should have got a sequel. I think they were great monsters. They should have got more films. Baragon should have got more films. Megalon should have got one more film. Even though Megalon was in a film that isn't exactly the excellence in Godzilla films, but he's a cool kaiju-like guy again, where, you know, I would love to see what he could have done in another movie, or with another monster, or have him revamped, like in the Millennium or the Heisei movies. So yeah, Titanosaurus, Megalon, the Gargantuas, Baragon, I think should have got more movies. I think a lot of people out there will agree with that. But at least Titanosaurus, I would love to see how Titanosaurus could have been in another movie. And Right, Everett, I love this kaiju. I love Titanosaurus, and I wish he could have got more film appearances. All right, number 5. Name a scene or an ending of a movie that had you puzzled as far as Godzilla is concerned. And then the first thing that pops into my mind when I read this question is Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. The ending of Godzilla vs. Monster Zero had me going, what? And if you all saw the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Godzilla and Rodan are fighting King Ghidorah after the aliens had been destroyed and the control that they were under was broken. So naturally, Godzilla and Rodan fight King Ghidorah. They fight, they fall off a cliff, they land into the ocean. King Ghidorah flies out the ocean and goes back into space. However, we don't see Godzilla and Rodan again. Did they survive? Did they die? Now, Godzilla, we can pretty much assume he survived because he can not only breathe on land but underwater too. But Rodan, what happened to him? So that was an ending that kind of I really don't know how to explain that. I mean, does that make King Ghidorah the winner? Does it make Godzilla and Rodan the losers? Did they win because King Ghidorah left the planet? I don't know. Like I said, that's a movie that had me puzzled, and to this day, I don't know how to describe that, but that's my answer to that question. Okay, what are your thoughts of Godzilla 2014? I really enjoyed the movie. I really did. I think they did right by the character. Gareth Edwards deserves a lot of credit. He was able to give us a new story, but yet still maintain the core elements that made Godzilla what he is, and just made an entertaining movie. I mean, I went in this movie with the Jaws approach that I knew that Godzilla was not going to be in it that much. So I feel like the less is more thing with this movie. So that's why I wasn't too disappointed that Godzilla did get a lot of screen time. But it was kind of teasing. I mean, let's just keep it real. It was teasing. The first time you see Godzilla, it has a shot that rises up from his feet and then shows his face, and he does that iconic roar, and then you're expecting to see more of him, and then it just cuts to another scene where it's more humans. And it's like I was in a movie theater and I was watching it, and I saw him for the first time, and then when they cut away, I was like, yeah, oh. Yeah, but at the very end, the monster action makes up for the lack of Godzilla's screen time. And I really enjoyed the movie. It did a lot for the franchise to reboot it, to revitalize, to bring more fans into the genre. I really enjoyed it. I really did. So that's my thoughts on Godzilla 2014. Can't wait till it comes out on Blu-ray the 16th of this month. Can't wait. But really enjoyable movie. I highly recommend that movie. Okay, name Godzilla's deadliest enemy in your opinion. And of course, when this question is asked, the first monster that most people think of is Destroyer, because of in Godzilla vs. Destroyer how Godzilla dies, and and which is kind of true in a way. Destroyer is a very vulnerable opponent. He's a very unique kaiju, and he looks like the devil. I mean, let's just keep that real. I don't know, but me personally, I don't think he's the deadliest enemy. And when I say that, I meant that monster. In my opinion, deadliest means the monster that has caused Godzilla the most harm, or Godzilla has a tough time defeating. And two monsters come to my mind: Hedra and Godzilla the Smog Monster. Because Godzilla had a hard time defeating him. And basically, Godzilla really didn't defeat him on his own. He had the military to help him. So, had the military not intervened, Hedra probably would have defeated Godzilla. I mean, I'm just being honest about it. But the monster that, in my opinion, is the deadliest, that's caused Godzilla the most grief, is Mechagodzilla. And I'll tell you why. In the show of Mechagodzilla in Godzilla 1974, he made Godzilla bleed to death. I have never seen Godzilla bleed that much. Of course, Gigan made him bleed just a little bit, but in Godzilla Mechagodzilla really does a number on Godzilla where you see him bleeding to death like a blood sprinkler. I mean, he really causes a lot of damage to Godzilla. No monster has ever done that before where it caused him to bleed profusely. In Mechagodzilla Part 2 in 1993, Mechagodzilla actually paralyzes Godzilla. And if it wasn't for the intervention of Fire Rodan, Godzilla probably would have been defeated by that version of Mechagodzilla. And that's why, in Mechagodzilla, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1993, I mean, the fact that he paralyzes Godzilla, not many monsters can say that they have paralyzed Godzilla to the point where he couldn't even stand up on his own right. So, and then with the Millennium Godzilla, or Kiryu, in Godzilla Tokyo SOS, or actually in Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Kiryu, or Mechagodzilla, the third version of Mechagodzilla, actually pierced Godzilla. In the first movie, he pierced Godzilla's abdomen or chest to the point where Godzilla cannot even continue to fight. And in the very next movie, in Godzilla Tokyo SOS, he was able to drill into Godzilla's chest, at that point being scarred from the first encounter, to the point where Godzilla couldn't continue again. So, in my opinion, Mechagodzilla, all versions of him, is the deadliest enemy. Because he's the one that probably comes the closest to actually killing him. So that's why I say Mechagodzilla is the deadliest enemy. Which do you prefer, the Japanese or American cuts of Godzilla movies? Well, that's a good question, because sometimes the Japanese cuts, or the original Japanese versions, are very, very good, and sometimes the American versions either improve on the cuts, on Japanese cuts, or they bring them down. It just depends on what movie you're watching. Like in Godzilla 1984, or The Return of Godzilla. The Japanese version is better than the American version. In the American version, you don't get a sense of the message that the original Japanese version is trying to convey. As Godzilla is a force of nature, he's something that needs to be reckoned with, probably communicated with. You don't get that sense in the American version. In the American version, it's just another monster on the loose type of film. Kind of like the way they did the original Godzilla. And when they Americanized it to Godzilla King of the Monsters, you don't get the same message. In the original Japanese Godzilla, or Gojira, it shows how the Japanese people was feeling at the time when the nuclear bombs got dropped on them. And then Godzilla comes out of nowhere. So it was based on a real life fear, and how Godzilla is the representation of that fear, how he's the representation of consequences. And that's basically what Godzilla represents in the original Godzilla, in my opinion. In my opinion, that he represents consequences, meaning that for every action, there's a reaction. We dropped 2 nuclear bombs on them. The Americans, dropped 2 nuclear bombs on the Japanese during World War II. And then out of nowhere, Godzilla comes to destroy humanity. So, in my opinion, he represents consequences, but you don't get that same sense in Godzilla King of the Monsters. In Godzilla King of the Monsters, it's like another typical 50 monsters movie where giant monsters on the loose. So it just depends on what you watch, you know. And there are some times where the American version is actually better than the Japanese version. Like, for example, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. In my opinion, U.S. version is better. The pacing is better. Even though they kind of swap some scenes around, the pacing is better, in my opinion, that movie. So it just depends on which one you watch. So, but I highly recommend that if you're going to get into this franchise or into this genre, watch both versions. That way you get a clear understanding of what's going on. You know, that way you're not lost. So that's why I highly recommend see both the Japanese and the American versions. Okay, another question. Godzilla has portrayed many characters through the years. Which is your preference? Villain, hero, or neither? Personally, I like the villain. I like the Godzilla where the monster needs to be stopped. The antagonist of the story, that he's the monster that needs to be beaten. Of course, I like when he's the hero, like in Godzilla vs. the Small Monster, or Godzilla vs. Gigan on Megalon, and all that. And I even like him when he's an anti-hero, like in Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, or in Godzilla vs. the Monster Zero. But personally, my preference is the villain, how he was in his first 4 movies. Or like he was in GMK. Yeah. So in my opinion, Godzilla the villain for me. Okay, another question. If you were locked up and to be released immediately, you had to watch a poorly regarded and lowly opinionated Godzilla film to get out of jail, what would it be? And your choices are Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, or Godzilla Final Wars. My family so loves me to death. But I will see, out of these movies, now mind you, I want to see Godzilla's Revenge. And there's nothing against Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla or Godzilla Final Wars, even though they're not on the top of my list, and even though I don't think they're like great Godzilla films, I think they're good Godzilla films. There's no such thing as a bad Godzilla film, except for Godzilla 98. And I think we all can agree on that. But personally, I would choose Godzilla's Revenge. I just like that movie. Even though it employs a lot of stock footage, even though it doesn't employ a lot of Godzilla action in it, I think that it's good for what it is. And it has a very great message on it about bullying and standing up for yourself. And it just, I really like that movie. So between the 3, I would choose that movie, Godzilla's Revenge. And I'm sure a lot of people out there will be like, what? Really? But I think if you really watch Godzilla's Revenge and really watch it, I think that you would actually appreciate it more. Mind you, it's not the best. I'm not saying it's the best, but to me, it's better than Godzilla Space vs. Space Godzilla. Excuse me, it's better than Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla or Godzilla Final Wars, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. So it's Godzilla's Revenge for me to get out of jail. Okay, and another question. Why do you think fans give Minya a hard time? My oldest wanted me to ask that. I think, in my opinion, Minya gets a hard time because at that point in the series, it was going in more a children's direction, and it kind of takes away from what Godzilla truly represents. Like, it's kind of hard to go from how he was in Godzilla King of the Monsters to him being a father in this film. So I think they rag on Minya for that. And the fact that he doesn't have the best looking design in the world, to me, Minya doesn't bother me. I like Minya. I like the movie that he was in. Son of Godzilla, Destroyer of Monsters, even Godzilla's Revenge. Even though he was talking in it, I like the character of Minya. I like the idea of Godzilla having a son or somebody to care for. And I don't know why fans give Ming a hard time. Like I said, I like Ming. I think he's a great character. I think it complements the films, it complements the Godzilla character of each film that he was in. And it's cute, especially in the Son of Godzilla at the very end where they're hibernating in the snow and they're hugged together. That's a really heartwarming moment. And in Godzilla's Revenge, Godzilla's trying to teach him to stand up for himself and not be a pushover, and I thought that'd be a cute family moment too. So, but I don't know why fans give Ming a hard time. I mean, I don't know why, but I have no problem with Ming. I think he's a great, or at least a good kaiju, and I think he has earned his place in the Godzilla history. So, let's see. Next question. Believe it or not, some G films have a message conveyed in the story. Which G film had the most powerful message in your opinion? And that question, the answer is simple. The original Godzilla. Like I said just now, in the original Godzilla, he was the manifestation of people's real life fear of what could happen by us destroying nature. That somehow, some way, nature will respond or fight back. And Godzilla is basically retribution. And he is conveyed in that movie to the fullest. Like I said, to me, he represents consequences. After we dropped the bomb, or the Americans dropped the bomb on the Japanese, soon after that, Godzilla came and to terrorize the world. And I guess bring punishment or balance, I guess. So to me, he represents consequences. And I think that's the most powerful message in the entire franchise. Of course, it got lost. His character of that got lost through the years with him fighting aliens and other monsters and him being a father figure or whatever. But I think the most powerful message is in the original Godzilla film, the original Japanese version. So I highly recommend you go see that. You can find it in Criterion. It's a production company that makes overseas and very well crafted made films, legendary films, and they released Godzilla like a few years back. It includes the original Japanese version as well as Godzilla King of the Monsters. It has a whole bunch of extras behind the scenes and the story behind it. It's really a great release. And I highly recommend any Godzilla fan that's a real Godzilla fan needs to pick that up. You really need to pick it up. So in my opinion, the original Godzilla Gojira had the most powerful message, which means he represents consequences. Okay, what proposed G project would you have liked Toho to bring to the screen, despite the fact it was planned but never finished? I would have liked to see, for one, I would like to have seen more of the King Kong character in the Toho franchise. Of course, they had King Kong vs. Godzilla. They tried it again with King Kong Escapes, which is a very great, fun film. I would love to have see more movies of their take of King Kong. Mind you, it probably wouldn't have gotten as much mileage because in the Godzilla world, where you have three-headed flying space dragons and Buzzsaw having space monsters and indestructible robots with missiles on their hands, and it'd be kind of hard to present a credible challenge, or at least it would have been hard to put King Kong up against monsters that King Kong could defeat on his own. Because personally, King Kong could not defeat King Ghidorah. He couldn't defeat Mechagodzilla. Maybe Gigan, maybe. I'm not really sure. But, with the world of Godzilla having all these outlandish monsters, King Kong couldn't really thrive in their environment, at least in my opinion. So it would have been interesting to see how they would have took the franchise or whatever, had they used King Kong more. But I would love to see King Kong more. Another project that I would love to have seen, instead of Godzilla vs. Destroyer, the original project for that film was to have Godzilla face off against Godzilla. Basically, the ghost of the Godzilla in 1954 would come back and challenge the Godzilla in the Heisei movies, it would materialize into a real Godzilla, and that Godzilla would do battle with the current Godzilla. And I would love to have seen how that would have turned out. Of course, it didn't happen because at that point in the Heisei line, Toho felt that Godzilla faced too many versions of himself. Like in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla or Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla, it felt like it was just too much. So that's why they went with Destroyer. But I would love to see how they would have handled that, Godzilla vs. Godzilla. Because the only time we really seen that was briefly in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, the original one. So I would love to have seen that come into fruition, just to see how the original Godzilla would have fought the Heisei Godzilla. But one can only dream. Whatever. If you were put in the director's chair, what movies or scenes would you change to your liking or to make it better? And three comes to mind. In Godzilla Final Wars, all the monsters that Godzilla didn't defeat, like King Caesar, Rodan, Anguirus, or whatever, I would love to have all the monsters come back at the end of the film and surround Godzilla and King Ghidorah as they doing their final battle. Okay, at that point, the aliens would have been destroyed and the monsters would not have been under alien control. But I would love to have seen all those monsters surround Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah and just have them all there present. And then after Godzilla defeats King Ghidorah, all the monsters, you see the monsters go their separate ways. And I would love to have, I would change that for us, Godzilla Final Wars, to have all the monsters together at the very end to witness Godzilla battle King Ghidorah. That would have been great to me. Another thing I would change in Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, Giant Monster All Out Attack, I would change Mothra and King Ghidorah, them fighting more, because they really didn't fight to the best of their ability, in my opinion, against Godzilla. Of course, Godzilla in that film was supposed to be portrayed as the ultimate monster, and I think that still could have been done if you didn't sacrifice the characters of Mothra versus King Ghidorah. And I wish Mothra and King Ghidorah could have done a lot more, especially Mothra, because Mothra really didn't do that much. I mean, of course, King Ghidorah provided most of the fighting, but I would have loved to see more fight out of them. As a matter of fact, I would love to see Baragon in the final fight. I would have had it where Godzilla fought Baragon in the beginning, but yet before Godzilla would do the kill shot or fire his fire on Baragon, Baragon would burn under the ground and then resurface at the very end to help King Ghidorah and Mothra fight Godzilla. So that's what I would change as far as GMK. And the last thing I would change is in Terra Mechagodzilla, I will beef up the monster action considerably. Once again, Everett, I know you're going to like this, so bear with me. Now, in this film, there's a lot of human development and there's not a lot of monster action. The monster action more so takes place during the last part of the film. Now, what I would change is this. Now, Mechagodzilla would have been repaired and been sent to destroy the world early on in the film. Okay? So we see Mechagodzilla rebuilt, destroying Tokyo. At the same time, we see Godzilla coming to Tokyo to stop Mechagodzilla. Okay? The aliens know this because in the final film in Terra Mechagodzilla, they actually saw Godzilla coming before he was able to make landfall. So they see Godzilla coming on their monitors. So what they do is they send Titanosaurus to stop Godzilla from reaching Tokyo. So when Godzilla's swimming, he gets dragged underwater by Titanosaurus. Now keep in mind, both Titanosaurus and Godzilla are also water monsters. They can thrive on land and in the water. So I would have Titanosaurus and Godzilla fight underwater. And as we have seen in movies like Godzilla vs. Mothra in 1992 when Godzilla fought Batra, or in GMK when Godzilla fought King Ghidorah underwater fights can be done if done right. So I would have loved to have seen Titanosaurus fight Godzilla underwater before Godzilla makes landfall. They fight to a standstill and something happens and they get separated or whatever, or maybe Godzilla defeats Titanosaurus temporarily and Godzilla still makes his way towards Tokyo. In the meantime, while Godzilla and Titanosaurus is fighting, you can cut back to the city and show Mechagodzilla destroying the city, because that's what we didn't get a lot of in the Showa era, of a lot of footage of Mechagodzilla destroying the city. So I would have intercut that footage of Mechagodzilla destroying the city while Titanosaurus and Godzilla is fighting. Then Godzilla temporarily defeats Titanosaurus. He goes to Tokyo. He tries to fight Mechagodzilla. Then somehow Titanosaurus beats Godzilla there, and then you get the end product of what Terra Mechagodzilla is. So that's what I would change if I was in the director's chair, just to add more monster action to the Terra Mechagodzilla. It would have provided more screen time for Titanosaurus, especially Godzilla, because Godzilla didn't show up in Terra Mechagodzilla until 48 minutes into the movie. But if it was up to me, I would definitely change that. Now, what else? What movie would you suggest for new fans to watch if they're interested in coming to the genre? That's easy. The original Godzilla or Godzilla King of the Monsters. That way you get a better understanding of the character and where it originated from and what it represents and what it means. And then venture off into more of what's in the genre. In my opinion, I think you should start from first to the last. I don't think you should go from Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster to the original Godzilla, or from Terra Mechagodzilla to Godzilla's Revenge, or GMK to Godzilla 84. I think you should start from the original Godzilla and work your way up for new fans. That way you can get a better idea of what's going on and how the character has changed over the years. That's what I would suggest. Also, on the collector's front, as far as these figures, what would you like to see made by X Plus? Because X Plus made these great figures, like this one, Godzilla 1984, Mania, Mechagodzilla, Titanosaurus. 3 monsters come to mind. I would like to see them make a 30cm adult destroyer. As far as the gigantic series, I want to see them make 2 monsters. I want to see a Gigan in a gigantic scale, and I want to see a Godzilla 84 in a gigantic scale. That's what I'd like to see. The idea of having Godzilla 84 in gigantic scale or Gigan, because they have done great with the gigantic series with the GMK, and now with the recently released gigantic Burning Godzilla. So it'll be very interesting to see how Godzilla 84 and Gigan will be handled in a gigantic scale. So that's my opinion. And the last question, because I know I've been talking my head off for the past 20 minutes, and thank y'all for being patient and watching as much as you have and gone this far with me. Like I said, I'm just giving you my opinion, and hopefully it resonates with a lot of you out there. Maybe y'all feel the same way, maybe you don't, but maybe we can still come together and have a difference of opinions. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with having a difference of opinions. The last question is, what do you say to people that tend to look down on Godzilla, on the Godzilla hobby, as not being credible like as other hobbies? And I say, to each his own. Once again, you're entitled to your opinion. If you don't think that this is worth being a hobby, then I will strongly disagree with you. I would say that you're wrong, but at the same time, you're not wrong for having an opinion. My suggestion is know more about it before you judge. Because like I said, this is no different than collecting stamps or comic books, or if you're into Dragon Ball Z, or if you're into James Bond movies, or if you in collecting cars, or if you're in collecting shoes or Air Jordans. This is no different. Godzilla is a passion, not just for me, but a lot of people out there. And sometimes some people are afraid, or at least not comfortable with speaking that in public because they're afraid or worried about what's going to be said about it. And personally, I don't really care, because this is what I do. This is my passion. There's nothing wrong with expressing that. So to those people who look down upon that, I would say know about what you're talking about before you judge. Because like I said, James Bond got his fans. Batman got his fans. Superman got his fans. Indiana Jones got his fans. And Godzilla got his fans too. He is just as iconic as every single one of them. And he got his fans too. So to those people who look down upon this hobby, I would say, whatever. You're entitled to your opinion, but that's all it is. It's just an opinion. And if you don't like it, that's perfectly fine. But I do, and a lot of other people do, and we don't mind expressing our passion for this because it brings a lot of fun. And that's the name of the game, is that it brings fun. So, but I can go on and on and on about that question, but that's basically it as far as what I say to people. You know, just understand it. Just try to understand it. I guarantee you, if you watch a Godzilla movie, you might just actually like it. Take away the fact there's a guy in a rubber suit squashing a miniature city. I mean, forget sometimes the cheesy special effects and stuff like that, but just actually sit there and watch it and be engulfed in the story. I will guarantee you that you will like it. You may not be a hardcore fan like myself and many others, but I guarantee you will like it, and you would not be quick. You would not be quick to turn your nose up at it just because it's Godzilla. So, but that's basically it as far as my questions and answers and stuff like that. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I thank you for watching. I thank you for allowing me to express my opinion. Like I said, this is for my family who asked me questions, so I just want to just put it out there in video form. So, and if any of y'all have any questions, please let me know, and I will get to them as soon as I can, and we'll just go from there. And once again, thank you very much for watching. Until then, y'all have a great Labor Day, and I will get another video out to you soon. Until then, y'all take care. Bye.